If you own a home in Anacortes, Washington, you've probably asked yourself the big question a few times: what's it really worth? Well, today we're going to dive into exactly that: how to find the right person to give you the real answer.
Seriously, what is it worth? Whether you're thinking about selling, maybe refinancing, or you're navigating an estate, getting an accurate value is absolutely step one. But, with all the different appraisers out there, where do you even start? It can feel a little overwhelming. So your choices pretty much boil down to two main types. You've got your dedicated local specialists, the folks who live and breathe the Anacortes market. And then you have the bigger regional firms that cover a much wider territory. Let's take a look at what each brings to the table. Okay, to really get the lay of the land, let's start with those regional firms. These are the companies that cover all of Skagit County and beyond, and they're probably the first names that'll pop up when you do a search. So, two of the big players you'll run into are All Islands Appraisal and North Sound Valuation. Now, they're both well established, for sure, but they actually cater to slightly different needs and, well, different areas. First up, we've got All Islands Appraisal. The name kind of gives it away, right? They cover both San Juan and Skagit counties. They're a certified residential appraiser, and they handle all the standard stuff you'd expect: appraisals for lending, getting ready to list your home, estate planning, and they even do small multifamily properties. A solid, broad option. And then there's North Sound Valuation. These guys cast an even wider net, working across 4 different counties. They tend to specialize in some of the more complex situations, like those really high-value estates or appraisals needed for divorce proceedings and tax issues. Now, there's another key regional player you should know about: Wynn Valuation Services. Their focus is a little more targeted, really homing in on Anacortes and the would-be island communities.
So what's their big strength? Well, it's experience, plain and simple. We're talking more than 20 years in the business, led by a certified appraiser. They're all about providing really comprehensive valuations in this specific market.
Okay, so those are the main regional players. They cover a lot of ground, but what if that's not what you're looking for? What if you need an appraiser who is 100% focused on just the Anacortes market? And that's where the dedicated local specialist comes into the picture. For Anacortes, that's Eagle Home Appraisal Anacortes. They are really positioned as the go-to expert for appraisals right there in the city.
You know, the description used for them says it all: truly local, easy-to-reach expert. That phrase really highlights their whole value proposition. They're accessible, and they have that deep, on-the-ground knowledge of the immediate area.
And if you look at their services, you'll see they cover just about every reason a homeowner might need an appraisal. Thinking of selling? They do pre-listing value checks. Navigating a tough situation like a divorce or settling an estate? They do that. Worried about taxes? Yep. And of course, they can answer that simple but all-important question: hey, what's my house worth? And hey, if you're ready to get in touch, they're right there on Commercial Avenue in downtown Anacortes. You can give them a call directly at the number you see on the screen, 360-230-7277. All right, we've met the players. Now, let's put them all on the board and see how they really stack up. A little side-by-side comparison should make it crystal clear where their focuses and service areas differ.
This table really breaks it down, doesn't it? Look at that service area column. It tells the whole story. You see Eagle Home Appraisal, laser-focused just on Anacortes. Then you have All Islands and North Sound, stretching out over multiple counties. And Wynn Valuation zeroes in on that Whidbey Island region. The biggest difference you can see right away is that geographic scope.
So if you boil all of this down, what's the one thing you should walk away with? It's this: for a market as unique as Anacortes, deep, genuine local knowledge really, really matters.
And what does local knowledge actually mean? I mean, it's not just knowing the street names. It's understanding the tiny but crucial value differences from one neighborhood to the next. It's knowing exactly how much a certain kind of view or waterfront access is worth. It's about getting the subtle differences between a property right in town versus one that's island adjacent. Trust me, these little details can make a huge difference in the final number.
Okay, you're armed with all this information. So, what's the game plan? Let's break it all down into a super simple, actionable checklist you can use to pick the right appraiser for you. Here is a pretty straightforward way to go about it. First, just to get a baseline, why not start by calling a dedicated local firm like Eagle Home Appraisal? Second, no matter who you call, ask them some direct questions. Ask about their specific experience in your neighborhood, what their turnaround time looks like, and how their fees work. And finally, if you have a particularly unique or high-value property, it's probably a smart move to compare what the local expert says with a quote from a regional firm that specializes in that kind of thing.
You know, at the end of the day, the right appraiser doesn't just hand you a number.
They give you confidence in that number. So the real question isn't just who's the best appraiser, it's which expert is the best fit for my home and my situation. The local specialist or the broad regional firm. Now, you have the info to make that choice.